Hello everybody and welcome to Against the Fence. This is your UFC 265 Aftermath show where we'll be giving you a quick recap of all of the events from Saturday night's main card. We'll also be giving you a look at the fighter rankings from UFC.com and letting you know what's going to be coming up next for both winners and losers. And then lastly, we'll have a look at what's been talked about on social media. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so first up on the main card, we had Song Adong defeating Kenney by a split decision. One judge did score it 30-27 to Song Adong though, which is quite significant. Then we had Tecia Torres defeating Angela Hill by unanimous decision, with two judges scoring at 30-27 in favour of Torres. Then we had Vicente Luque defeating Michael Chiesa via first round submission, and that was a Darce choke. Then in the co-main event, we had Jose Aldo defeating Pedro Munoz by decision, with all three judges scoring at 30-27 in favour of the former featherweight champion. Then, in the main event itself, that interim heavyweight title, we had Cyril Gane taking the TKO victory over Derek Lewis, and that was in the third round. Now, let's move on and let's visit Sai, shall we?
Hey.
All right, Sai's here. Now, unfortunately, Ash is not with us this evening.
No.
Due to, various matters that we are not going to discuss. So it's just us two to fly through this.
Unseen circumstances.
Unseen circumstances, I should say.
But he's okay. Don't panic. He's all right. He's doing well.
Fine. He'll be back
next time.
Next
yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Let's then dive into some of these performances then for what was an insane main card this weekend.
Look, I really can't wait for this. I mean, the card really got me, give me the thrills from the start to the stop. And what way to open up as well. That first fight on the card was absolutely fire.
Yeah,
barn banner of event. It did. I think it was my fight tonight as well when we looked back again.
Yeah, I think you did say it was
for really good reasons.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Let's have a look.
Cool. Let's take a look at rankings and let's figure out what's next for these guys then.
Definitely.
All right then, so first up we had Song Adong, which was a fantastic performance from him. We knew it was going to be a close fight and we thought either Casey would, take a decision in this fight or Song Adong would get the knockout. But surprisingly, Song Adong took the decision and outstruck Kenney throughout the fight basically.
Which was really surprising. I did not think, because when we broke it down in people's picks, I did not think that Song Adong would have that wave of energy he had in the third round. I've seen him fatigue against Vera before.
Yeah,
he showed a little bit of slowing down in the third round. So I didn't expect him to have that energy going into the third and just having his best round in the third. I thought that's where Casey would show. Yeah,
it's definitely showing that Song Adong is improving in the cardio area.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. And his ability to stuff takedowns, having Uriah Faber in his corner, amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah,
it really works.
Yeah, you've done a great job at stuffing majority of what Kenney tried to do on him.
Yeah.
But let's then look at what's next for both of these guys then. So for Song Adong, I think he's ready for a top 15 guy. He's not in the rankings yet. We are looking at the rankings. There's only one slight movement, and that's Marlon Moraes going above Cody Garbrandt for some reason.
Yeah.
But he's going to be looking for a guy certainly at the bottom between 15 and 10. And
I would say so. I mean, I think it was in the rankings before, and he fell out of it because of some movement as well.
Yeah, it's a talent-stacked division nonetheless.
It is.
And, there's plenty of movement from all across the board, to be honest with you. But for the first up, I'm going for option-wise. I've got two, actually.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Song Adong take on Jimmy Rivera, who's only won one in his last 4 outings. And he's coming off of a loss against Pedro Munoz, of course. So he needs to get back in there at some point. It's a bit of a toss-up. It could happen. But then at the same time, it probably doesn't marry up in terms of the schedules, things like that. Sorry. So I really would expect Jimmy Rivera to jump in there pretty soon against someone. But I think it's a good fun fight. I think it's a good one for both guys. Jimmy Rivera taking that step down to get back on the win column. And then, on the other hand, for Song Adong, he's fighting a guy who's sort of been up in the top 10 before and, has made waves in the bantamweight division.
Yeah, no, he certainly has. It's a good shout. And I mean, looking at his takedown ability now, Jimmy Rivera is someone who stands and uses his hands as well. So in terms of stylistically, I think it's a great matchup. It generally is.
Yeah, it's a great matchup. And for Song Yadong, he's got power. Jimmy Rivera has got quite good power as well for this division as well. So I think, power-wise, I don't know who to give the edge to. Part of me would want to give it to Song Yadong. I'd give the speed advantage to Song Yadong as well over Jimmy Rivera, but Jimmy Rivera is so good at mixing up his boxing and his wrestling skills.
Yeah, no, certainly. And it's a decent matchup. And in that sort of matchup, I might even favor Song Yadong. The way he performed actually on the weekend tells me that I was surprised he wasn't in the top 15. Yeah. I guess he was once before and fallen out, but someone like that, the way he performed should be knocking on the door of top 10 for sure. So I think he walks through Jimmy Rivera and he's knocking on top 10 in no time.
Yeah, but for Song Yadong, he's got to watch out for the leg kicks of Jimmy Rivera. I think the takedowns of Jimmy Rivera is going to be a lot harder to stuff than a Casey Kenney, for example, because he's quite a powerful guy as well. Like, Jimmy Rivera is really strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty decent option. But then moving on to my second option, I've got Sean O'Malley.
Oh!
I have. And it's a fun fight. It's a good one.
That's actually a barn burner.
It's a barn burner, but it makes sense.
He's not ranked though, is he? Sean O'Malley.
No, he's not ranked. And both guys are looking to break into the top 15.
Oh.
And I have mentioned this fight before, actually, in the last Aftermath show. Because I said the winner of Casey Kenney versus Song Yadong.
Yeah.
So I've got to refrain back to this now because it's very much possible.
That has actually got me really excited. Although it won't happen. The UFC brass is all looking after Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, there's that aspect of it. But then there's also the fact that Sean O'Malley has come out recently in the media and has complained about fighter pay and things like that after hanging out with Takeshi 69 for 3 days. So, and he's clearly a popular guy, which makes sense. But at the same time, in terms of abilities in mixed martial arts, you're down here. Like, your popularity's up here and your ability in terms of who you've beaten is down here. So you're going to have to make that step up. Yeah. You've got to prove yourself.
That's true. That is true.
And I think Song Yadong is that perfect fight.
Sooner or later, he is going to have to prove himself. I thought he'd have to prove himself knocking onto the top 10 or, as he goes into the top 10 of the division. To prove himself and not yet be in the top 15, it's a bit much to ask. But, he's not particularly new. He's got a good streak going on so far. He
had the loss against Marlon Rivera, who is in the top 15 at the moment. So he needs that between 10 to 15 kind of guy. And in some ways, but for someone, I've picked Song Yadong because he's the same sort of level.
He also needs to get that fight back against Marlon Vera eventually down the line. So a couple more fights and getting that fight back. We need to find out what really happens there if his leg doesn't give away in the octagon. Yadong has already fought with Marlon Vera, of course. So that matchup doesn't make sense yet. But yeah, look, I think if Sean O'Malley was to step into the top 15, it's you're right when you say it's a stacked division because when you got people with the talent of Marlon Vera and Song Yadong that low down in the top 15, it's like it's difficult to get in.
Yeah, no, it is, and we have been saying that Sean O'Malley, that the UFC brass have been giving him sort of easy fights. They haven't been giving him people who are way up there in terms of jump wise. So
Montinho, his last fight, that was pretty. I'm checking.
I was like, what are you on about? But then at the same time, if that's why the Song Yadong fight makes sense, right? Because they're both at the same sort of level. And Song Yadong's been racking up wins. Yeah.
What about Kenney though?
Yes, good one for Casey Kenney. I've only really got one. Oh no, two. Sorry, I have got two. My first one's Kyler Phillips because he's coming off of a loss and he slipped out of the rankings actually due to his loss against Rulian Paiva.
Oh, so wait, Kyler Phillips isn't ranked either.
No, and he was sort of hovering down that bottom step at one point.
Oh,
I'm sure of it. So, yeah, I think that fight kind of makes sense. It's a bit flashy. Both guys are going to be coming up with crazy output. It's a fun one for the fans as well.
Yep.
Kenny's going to have to get away from Kyler's array of different kicks.
Yeah.
All out energy, that fighter.
Kyler's ability to cut angles. I think for Kyler, It's another good fight, which is similar to a Song Yadong fight. So if he can do what he done to Song Yadong again, he can use the same blueprint against Casey Kenney, I feel.
Yeah.
Casey Kenney will be putting forwards, and Kaido's just got a distant manage and uses reach advantage in that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty similar blueprint you're looking at.
Than what he did against Piper anyway.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there.
Maybe he underestimated Piper. That's what I reckon so. Then let's move on for my second option for Casey Kenney, which is Davy Grant.
Oh, that's
Marlon
right.
Vera.
I like to see that one more, to be honest.
Yeah.
Davy Grant against Casey Kenney, I'd like to see more. Yeah, and of course with Davy Grant, I always sleep on that guy. As in, like, I always underestimate him. He's just got one of those faces, that you underestimate. But his ability to knock people out.
Yeah.
And Casey Kenney's never been knocked out. We got to put him up against Iron Fists.
Exactly.
And see if the Iron Chin compares.
And it kind of makes sense as well in respect that Davy Grant, despite losing to Marlon Vera, he gained a fight of the night bonus from it as well. And against Casey Kenney, I think, again, another one that could be potential fight of the night. So
Exactly.
We got some good
Any headliner, any main event will love to have that to open up the card. I tell you that now for the rest of the year. It's going to be, that will be sick if that happens. I'll be excited to see it.
Absolutely. That's a fun one. So, okay, then let's move on to our second fight of the night then.
Yes.
Where we had Tecia Torres picking up the win against Angela Hill. And she makes it 3 straight wins in a row now, after losing 4 in a row against the cream of the crop of the division. And to be honest, the Tiny Tornado, she put on a clinic really against Angela Hill. We kind of thought it was a tough fight. We thought it was a close fight at that, but Tecia Torres edging the scorecards against Hill, which we thought. Ash said on the night, he said that if Tecia's not able to get Angela Hill down, then Angela Hill has a good opportunity of potentially outstriking and moving and beating Torres that way. But that didn't really seem the case. Torres seemed to stay second the whole fight and really kind of put damage on Angela Hill.
But another controversial decision. So if you remember after the fight, even like after the card finish, I was like, yeah, Hill won that one, didn't she? And you was like, no, Torres did.
A lot of people saying that Torres still do it.
Yeah, I wasn't complaining because I picked Torres, but at the same time, we were so surprised at that decision. We were almost very confident we lost that pick with Torres.
I'm baffled. I have an excuse because I had the chats to occupy of the night.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I need to go back and watch it again. I really do. Because clearly we've missed something, and we feel stupid about it.
Yeah.
I wanted Torres to win.
Because Hill did so well. She got a takedown in the first round as well against Torres, which we didn't expect to see that happen. We thought Torres was going to implement more grappling than she did, but otherwise on the feet, where the reach advantage is in Hill's favor, she was just using it constantly to hit her at range. Yeah. So a lot of that happened, but obviously within that narrative, you had Torres sort of having flurries of success throughout each of the rounds, but obviously those flurries of success won the judges' favor because they saw her as the victor at the end of it. And I was a bit surprised because I thought it was more from Hill, little implements of success peppered throughout from Torres, in my opinion. Yeah. But
nonetheless, Angela Hill had a phenomenal performance anyway.
Great output as well.
I think she looked good despite losing.
I think it's the best she's looked in my opinion.
I think it was one of the best she's looked for sure.
Yeah, despite the loss.
Definitely great confidence moving forward, I think. But we'll get into what's next for her. I've got a really good fun fight for her actually.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
You might not know, but we'll get into it. But for Tecia Torres, then my first pick I think is Claudia Gadelha. Hasn't fought since November of last year when she lost to Zhao Nanan. The two haven't been fought before either, and both of these girls have been around for the UFC for quite some time in their careers. And they've not been matched up yet. So that's why I think that fight makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Claudia Gadelha, she's got quite fast hands. She also can mix in the takedowns as well. She's very physically strong for the division. So I think both of these girls actually match up really well in terms of stylistically. Yeah, good point. And she's ranked 8, isn't she? So she's literally right next door to Torres there as well. What's some of Claudia Gadelha's last win? Her last win was actually Angela Hill, surprisingly. Wow, okay. And then she's coming off a loss against Yan Janan. Janan. So, I think that's looking pretty tasty. That's a fun one. It is a good shout, yeah. I think that's going to be quite an exciting fight, actually. Yeah. For us, for an opportunity for her to sort of edge another step up the ladder, I think. But...
in the last matchup against Hill, where's Hill ranked?
So Angela Hill is now down at 14th.
Okay.
Cordy Gadela in at number 8.
Look at that. And Nina Nunes against Torres.
Well, that's funny enough. Yes, I've got that one down as well.
Oh, do you? You do? Okay.
I do.
I didn't actually
both
spot
girls.
that.
So you've got Nina Nunes in at 7, and then you've got Tecia Torres in at 9, so they're fairly close.
Right.
There's another option, and it's another fight that hasn't happened before. And Nina Nunes is coming off of 2 losses, so it's squeaky bum time for her. This fight might make sense for her. Going to be difficult though, I think, against Tecia Torres. Personally, she might end up fighting someone a little bit lower, but time will tell, I'm afraid. So, but that's my second pick for that option.
I think they're both pretty solid picks, to be fair. They could look quite good, either of them.
Yep. As for Angela Hill, then, I've only got just the one pick, and it's actually Amanda Lemos.
Okay.
Both girls are strikers. Lemos has great hands, and she's very good at hitting while she's moving backwards. She's finished 3 of her 4 fights at strawweight so far, and she's looking phenomenal. And you can see here that she's in at number 13. Angela Hill down at number 14.
Yeah.
Amanda Lemos, her last win was against that Montserrat Ruiz, who wasn't ranked at the time. So Lemos has just stepped into the rankings. So she has to fight someone who's now ranked. And I think Angela Hill is the perfect matchup for that. Yeah,
I think maybe she should be looking a bit higher than Angela Hill, but I don't know. I guess you're right. I mean, 3 in the last 4 is quite good.
Yeah,
and she's looking impressive. I think it's going to be a really good fight, actually. Because, again, Angela Hill is looking... I feel like she's come so far in her striking and abilities. I feel like she looked the best in that last fight. And certainly the fight against Torres is better than the first time they matched up before the debut back in 2015 as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, the first time they matched up, it was Torres implementing all the grappling and the wrestling. It got some boos back then. People weren't too excited to see that. But certainly this time round, really exciting from both of them. I love that fight. And I generally think if she was to go up against this Amanda Lemos, then I think that's going to be quite a firefight as well. Because again, Angela Hill's looking to be peaking in some of her best performances at this point in time, I think. Yeah,
and Angela's going to be pressing forward, and I think it'd be a great fight for Angela as well to mix in some of the wrestling aspects that she's been working on. As I believe Lemos is, I haven't seen too much of Lemos, I must admit, but I think she's able to probably do a lot of wrestling, and I think it's a good fight for her to mix things up. And just got good takedown defense. She's quite strong, actually. Yeah, absolutely. Moving on then to Vicente Luque in the welterweight division, who's constantly striving forward when he beats Michael Chiesa last weekend, to make it 4 straight wins in a row now. Look, and we said he'd be occupying the center of the octagon against Michael Chiesa. He pretty much did that. He did get taken down, but he done an excellent job at fighting off that rear naked choke. And he managed to latch on that Darce choke on the way up and put Chiesa away. And it's phenomenal fashion, to be honest. It was great, actually, because I remember at that point when he got onto the ground and I was panicking because I went with Luque. You went with Luque as well, didn't you? Ash went with Chiesa. I was pretty confident on Luque's abilities, but I was just begging him to keep it standing. And then, of course, when Chiesa was trying to get up, I think even Chiesa was surprised. Yeah. Because Luque just held on, latched on, got the lock in there, and obviously submitted him. But I was thinking, let go, stand up, and box him up. Yeah. But good job he didn't, because he got the finish. Yeah. But isn't that impressive? Like, he's finished all of his last 4 fights. Yeah, he's been pretty damn impressive as of late, and he's striving forward. And I think with Luque, I did make mention before the fight that, funnily enough, that Michael Chiesa's first loss was via Darce choke against Jorge Masvidal, and then all of a sudden Luque catches this Darce choke on him. Yeah, so it's quite funny. But Luque displaying that he's got it everywhere recently. And he's definitely a tough customer for people in the upper echelon of the division. Yeah. Definitely a tough customer for Kamaru Usman, but we're going to get into that a little bit later on anyway. So, the options then for Luque is a little bit sticky at the top of the division. You've got Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns, who, good buddies with him, Colby Covington, all above him. So there's not really much that we can talk about in terms of what's next for Luque. I mean, it can go either way. I've got obviously Leon Edwards in there as an option purely because he's on a bit of a win streak as well. Mm-hmm. So that's impressive. Surely Edwards doesn't want to risk that spot though again, but he could be forced to, again. So who knows? And also, on the other hand, you've got Gilbert Burns who was calling out Edwards, and them two have been going at it on Twitter, which kind of makes sense because that'll be 2 versus 3. So again, Luque's waiting out that little bit longer.
Yep.
So then my second option would be the loser of Usman versus Colby, which is obviously happening in a few months' time. Lots to go digest there. If Usman loses, a shocker against Colby. Usman versus Luque is a great one.
Yep.
With one guy coming off a loss, one guy coming off a win.
I think for Gilbert Burns, he's wanting Colby to win that fight so Gilbert Burns can fight Colby and beat Colby.
But that option as well.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I mean, Colby's got to budge. He's sitting in the top spot for too long, and Gilbert Burns needs to be number 1 in that division. He's been more active. Leon Edwards been more active. Vicente Luque's been more active as well in terms of fights this last year. These guys need to be 1, 2, and 3, and Colby Covington's really hogging that top spot. So he's got to move. He's got to either go up or he's got to get down.
If he loses to Usman, then he has to at least fight Luque.
Yeah, I'll say so.
For that top spot. Like, you have to stay active. And it's whether or not he takes that fight is another question as well. I mean, he has to. He did take the fight against Woodley, I guess, after losing to Usman. So, yeah, I think either of those options would marry up well. But then my other third option for Luque would be Masvidal, which I think is a good fight for Luque.
Yeah. Good fight for Masvidal.
It's a good fight for Masvidal to get back in there, absolutely.
Somehow he's able to just fight these top people in the division.
Yeah, but I think it's because Masvidal brings a lot of eyes.
He sells tickets.
Really, he does sell tickets.
He does.
And I think, like Luque would be happily take that fight. Usman. Burns has said before he'd happily take that fight.
Yeah.
And risk it against Masvidal. And okay, maybe the top guys are underestimating Masvidal. And he is coming off a loss against the current champ. But, a big win against Luque would be amazing. Puts him straight back up there.
He's a really exciting fighter. He's finished, as just said a moment ago, his last 4 fights. And to see someone who finishes fights up against Masvidal, that is just what we pay for anyway.
Yeah. Okay, then so let's move on to Michael Chiesa then, because he's dropped down to 7th. Now, this is a... See, the way that the rankings have been updated is really weird. And I'm quite annoyed by this. And yes, I'm biased towards Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But I have a valid point here. Because the guys that update it aren't consistent enough. Because Luque's now gone above Thompson, surprisingly. And I said at the weekend that I reckon that Luque and Chiesa just switch. But for some reason now Luque's above Thompson, even though Thompson's beaten Luque. Doesn't really make sense. And that fight wasn't
recently
that long
as
ago.
well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've seen it in the past where
but
these guys that update the rankings have obviously taken into consideration if one guy has got the win over the guy that's currently moving. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
All this happens because Colby Covington's hogging the top spot. He needs to budge.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, okay. Let's get back onto Michael Chiesa then. So, Michael Chiesa losing at welterweight here. The options I've got, and I think we mentioned it the weekend, would be Jeff Neal, and it's another striker that he can try and take down and look to submit. However, Jeff Neal surprisingly has a 93% takedown defense.
93.
Yeah. So that fight is actually really intriguing and could be tough for both guys.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, either that's just going to be Jeff Neal walking through Chiesa, or I guess Michael Chiesa having to really develop and work on some of his weaknesses.
Yeah,
he really,
absolutely.
But Jeff Neal, has he actually been against many grapplers in his time? I can't remember the last grappler he would have gone up against.
Yeah, it's baffling me. I don't think there's been that many. It's not a bit too losing streak, so it's a bit dicey for Jeff Neal. But yeah, apart from that, I guess Bilal Muhammad likes to put the pace on people. I don't think he's too much of a grappler. Obviously, that wrestling king Kevin Holland he's lost to. But apart from that, yeah, no one who likes to implement a lot of wrestling, I guess.
Okay. I get it now. But yeah, I mean, Neil Magny, I guess, because he did fight Chiesa as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Neil Magny, and obviously Jeff Neal has lost to Neil Magny in his last outing. So, and Neil Magny wanted to wrestle with Chiesa, which is where I think his downfall was. Yeah, I mean, I was so frustrated watching that fight back.
No, absolutely.
I want him to use his hands and not engage on the ground, but he insists on doing it. So, I mean, he does certainly back his wrestling ability. I can't remember how the narrative of the Jeff Neal Magny one went, but I do think there was a lot of grappling involved there, at the very least. But still, Jeff Neal did not come out victor on that one. So both coming off losses. I think it's a good fight to make. Chiesa, Jeff Neal.
Belal Muhammad is another option of mine. Who's looking?
He's got to have good takedown defense, surely. This guy.
Yeah. Belal Muhammad, I assume, has got great defense as well and great defense stats. And Belal Muhammad's looking great right now as well. Looking to step up, absolutely. But the problem is recently, probably in the last 24 hours or so, Belal Muhammad's actually been talking about potentially fighting Kevin Lee. And that fight might actually materialise because both guys have kind of given the nod on Twitter. So,
right.
And, Kevin Lee obviously made a step up from lightweight. He's still ranked at lightweight. To make the step up to welterweight could be a good move for him. That fight's a bit weird, really. I think, in my opinion, two very good guys, very strong. Not sure who I'd want to favour in that fight though. Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Lee stepping over. So if he's at ranked number 11 in the lightweight division, he's got to be looking at a fight somewhere between 10 and 7 in the welterweight if he's moving over. So, again, I love to see it. I love to see it.
But Muhammad's not exactly the biggest of welterweights either, I don't think. He's physically strong, he's quite muscly, but in terms of like height-wise, I don't think he's the biggest.
Yeah, he's quite small, isn't he? There's Belal Muhammad. Wow, he's on a good streak though.
Yeah.
Really good streak. Some good wins there. Damon Meyer, of course. Yeah, no contest against Leon Edwards. The eye poke. Yeah. But other than that, there's a string of 4 more wins before that prior to. So yeah, he's looking really good. Now he did lose against Jeff Neal, and that's going back about a year, 2019, 2 years. So I think it's a really nice little triangle of fighters just in up here. Nice little love fight triangle. Yeah, so pretty I would love to see it.
Cool. So let's move on then to our co-main event as Jose Aldo looks absolutely impressive against Pedro Munoz. And to be honest, he looked phenomenal throughout the fight. His cardio didn't look like it was an issue at all. And it was surprising how many of Munoz's calf kicks he was able to check. Like over and over. I remember seeing on Twitter, literally just today, of like a montage of him checking those kicks.
So many.
Like it was so many, and he was so sharp. And the fact that he was able to mix in his combinations, his body shots, and his shots to the head was just amazing to see throughout the fight.
It was exciting. You know what I mean? I counted Aldo out. I did go with Munoz for that fight. So
yes, you did. Yes, for Aldo.
Yeah, you got to pick right on that one. But honestly, I'm really surprised and really impressed at how he performed on the night. To be fair, but we did say as well that potentially because Munoz, and I think he called it right, it does make sense. His weakness, his kryptonite, tends to be legends.
It could be legends. I put it out there. It's like he beat Frank Edgar. You would have thought with Frankie Edgar sort of peeling off towards the end of his career that Pedro could have taken that win there. Yes, it was a close fight, and maybe some of you arguably could have said he did win that fight. But nonetheless, he didn't. I thought that Frankie Edgar won, but who knows? That could be it.
Just so you know, Ash, I also thought Frankie Edgar should have won that, so it's good that he did. Yeah, absolutely.
But Aldo now moves in at number 5, and you've got Pedro Munoz. I mean, no, I don't think there's any movement in this division at all. Just Marlon Moraes moving above Cody Garbrandt, which I guess kind of makes sense if Aldo was already above.
So otherwise there's not been much movement at all. It's good to see Jose Aldo still hovering around the top 5, which is really good. Next fights for him, it'll be good to see who he takes on in that top 5, to be fair, but any single one of them. Obviously there's a new addition a few weeks back, wasn't it, with TJ? So that did shove everyone down prior to this update, so there was a big move already, and now of course he's sort of budged up again one, so I guess for Marlon
Yeah, and what's next for Aldo is we mentioned it at the weekend. We did touch upon it briefly. Would be Rob Font, who sits in at number 4.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. Of course,
one against Cody Garbrandt, of course, has the potential to be an excellent striking battle if the two are paired. Could headline a fight night in Brazil, maybe.
Ooh,
that would make sense. That would be cool. Yeah. With Aldo on this kind of wave at the moment, and everyone on social media, in the MMA community has high praise for Jose Aldo at this new division.
Yep.
So I would expect it. He's quite popular, obviously quite popular in Brazil, having been a former featherweight champion. It would be exciting for card for the UFC to put on, absolutely.
Yeah. As soon as he gets there, as soon as he beats Rob Font, he's just waiting for the loser of the next title matchup, really.
He's there.
And he's right there.
Boom. You're there to potentially get to be double champ status.
Yeah. Now
he has lost against Peter Yan, who is in at number 1 at the moment. So he'll be looking to get that back. But at the same time, that was a fight. It was quite close early on, but Peter Yan sort of started to take over as Aldo's cardio started to decrease. So yeah, I think a rematch there would be in the future could be potential and be exciting.
Yeah. I'd love to see it back as well. Although for me, I do think Peter Yan takes that one again. I don't know. He's got that awkward style.
Yeah.
Southpaw, orthodox, and closing the distance, and I think that's just tricky for Aldo historically.
Aldo's got to use his leg kicks more often, as I keep saying. Moving on then to another option of mine for Aldo would of course be Corey Sandhagen, who's coming up for the loss against TJ Dillashaw, and it is in at number 3. Obviously, that depends on what happens with Rob Font and sort of the timescale of things. For Corey, Aldo would be another legend to take out, and get that highlight reel finish. So that one is dicey, really. That option for Aldo, in my opinion. But especially when you've got Corey Sandhagen, who's coming off of a loss and a 5-round loss at that, and he's going to be looking to develop so much more after that loss. He's going to learn so much from that TJ fight. So yeah, it's a difficult one.
Yeah,
more difficult than Rob Font.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like for someone like Corey Sandhagen and his style, his leg is there for Aldo to take.
He is.
So he's certainly got to be piecing that up from early. And he's taller, isn't he, Corey Sandhagen?
Yeah, he's so tall.
I always feel like he's tall, but then
he
is. He definitely is, isn't he? Yeah. So they're definitely going to be quite a decent matchup. Now his grappling, he's going to put some grappling into the mix there and sort of mix things up with Jose, I reckon.
Potentially, yeah, but Jose Aldo is really good on the ground as well. His ground game is actually really underrated. We don't see it often in MMA.
Much of it.
But, he's won some good competitions for grappling. So, who knows? It's there as a fallback.
Yeah.
He's really adapted to that weight class really well. He's very disciplined, clearly. Eating the right things and just constantly straining. So.
He's still only 34, so I know I'm talking about he's an old man, but in terms of fight years, and we said it a number of times already, like the guy, he's been around forever, so he seems old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably the perception he's got about him. But yeah, he's still only 34, so yeah, don't be surprised if he just walks through 5 rounds still like he used to.
Yeah, absolutely. But then as for Pedro Munoz, then I've got 2 picks for him. One, the Husunso rematch, which the last fought back in 2014, and Munoz lost that fight, so that could be a really good one for him to claim back. Now, when you look at the rankings, you got Munoz in at number 9, you got Husunso in at number 12. So, and Husunso was up there once upon a time, and has slowly slipped down as time gone on. So, and for Munoz, he's kind of fought a lot of the guys already. The people he hasn't fought have already got matchups. Apart from Dominic Cruz, but I think Dominic Cruz will fight Frankie Edgar, so that's why I haven't put Dominic Cruz in. Marab Durashvili, he's fighting Marlon Moraes. Jimmy Rivera, he obviously was his last win, so yeah.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And so that does leave only Rafael Assunção to go, really.
Pretty much. Or my second option, which is Marlon Vera. Now, it's a jump for Marlon.
It's a big jump for Marlon.
But stylistically, it's a fun fight for all because both of these guys love to kick the calves.
True.
So,
Well, we
it's
did talk
Cardiff
about.
Kick City.
I know we're not talking about Marlon for this video, but we did mention a bit earlier on about some other potential for him. That being either Sung Yudong or Sean O'Malley even. That'd be good matchups.
Sean O'Malley again? Not really.
Sean, no.
No.
Well, yeah. I mean, either way, I don't know whether he'll take that big jump from 14 straight up to 9 as of yet. I mean, it'll be a good fight to watch and see. But yeah, I guess it's a bit of a tough one to.
Yeah, but he's
coming
for a win as well.
He is, and that'd be really good for him, isn't it?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So honestly, some fun fights there.
So Dominic Cruz is fighting Edgar?
No, that's not confirmed. My guess is they'll fight because they're both from the same era, and both of them are legends, and I think that's why that fight makes sense.
Fair enough. Yeah. That would be good. But if not, then of course Dominic Cruz against Munoz, and let's see if he does have a kryptonite against legends after all.
That would make sense. Yeah. But then, other than that, I can't see who Frank Edgar fights if Dominic Cruz is paired up against Munoz.
He's due to have another fight soon, isn't he?
Frank Edgar, yeah, he must do. I mean, probably 6 month layoff from the Corey Sandhagen loss, which was back in February. So towards the end of the year, Frank Edgar will be at least looking to stepping up in a fight, and I think but then Asunso was a good one for him as well. Who's another legend. So who knows? Plenty of options. Then let's move on.
Number 5. Let's have a look.
Okay, so in the heavyweight division, then obviously we had Ciryl Gane picking up the interim title against Derek Lewis, and he did exactly what we thought he would do. He was able to stay away from Lewis's big right hand, and he used his kicks to set up his hands. And make Lewis quit.
Yeah. And we said it going into this fight as well. Gane has more tools than Lewis has, and he's only got to look out for one particular thing, and that's Lewis's power. And providing he doesn't make any mistakes, this is going to be a walk in the park for him. Yeah. And you know what? Gane has done that through every fight we've seen him at so far. He's made really tough contenders look easy.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, we haven't seen him
at
his worst. We haven't seen him in trouble as such.
Yeah. For ages we've been talking about the guy needs to be tested. We need someone to test. We thought Volkov could be the guy to do it. Equally could have matched him in speed and those leg kicks as well. But yeah, he made that look easy too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it kind of made sense. His footwork was on point. And yeah, we nearly guessed it to a T. I did sort of say submission at one point.
I said how it was going to end, and it ended exactly as I said it would. It'd be a barrage of strikes from Gane, and the ref is going to stop it. Now, I did say it would happen in round 4.
That happens with most people.
No, not necessarily.
Most finishes.
I said exactly how the finish going to be. The TKO would be TKO, and it would be a barrage of strikes, and he's covering up. The ref's got to step in and stop it. Now, I did say it would happen in round 4, but it's happened towards the end of round 3. So I thought maybe Lewis could have, kicked him in the balls and got another, little breathing time and made it into round 4. But yeah, either way, it's it was exciting nonetheless. Anyway, and I think what's next for Gane. Well, it's obvious.
It's just obvious, and I haven't really put much on it, to be honest. It's clearly that title shot. Why would you accept anything else when you've just won an interim title?
Yep.
Moving on. Simple.
No, yeah, pretty much.
You wait. You sit out and wait. Why? If Ngannou, well, I guess the only explanation would be is if Ngannou was to get injured badly, then he's got to defend the interim belt. And we've seen it occasionally, I guess. I can't think of when the last time was. How about, guys, if you can remember the last time that a guy defended an interim belt, pop it in the comment section below.
Yeah.
Because off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's happened. I just can't rename which division. But yeah, if you can find that out, pop it in the comments. That'd be great. So then, as for Lewis, then, I guess, I think we mentioned it the weekend. It depends on whether Stipe fights John Jones or not. It's whether it materialises or not could be next for Derek Lewis, because I can't see there's much else being for him, especially fights that there's so much that he's already fought already.
Yeah. I think for Derek Lewis has knocked out a lot of people there in the division. He's gone through Blades, of course, as well. Could be an opportunity against Rosenstrike.
Now Rosenstruck is matched up against Curtis Blades. So if Blades was to beat Rosenstruck, or even Rosenstruck beats Blades,
the other
vice
way
versa.
around.
It doesn't really matter. I think Derek Lewis could fight Rosenstruck.
Blades already fought Lewis, right?
Yeah, Blades already fought Lewis, but that's only if Rosenstruck win or lose for Rosenstruck. Derek Lewis could be an option.
Oh, I see what you're saying, right?
Because Rosenstruck's obviously clearly coming off of that win against Augusto Sakai.
Yeah.
Both guys haven't fought before. There's still plenty of matchups for Rosenstruck, though, I think, in this division. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, for Derek Lewis...
Everyone's pretty much got their own buddy up, haven't they? Except from... it's pretty difficult for Derek Lewis to find any other options other than that. Yeah. I mean, John Jones has got to step into this division, and that's going to shuffle everything down as well. Yeah. But great timing, too, because we need some new contenders to fight at the top end.
Oh, absolutely.
And that would be perfect entry for him, Stipe. And then... if he does take that fight, fantastic. That'd be great to watch. Hopefully he does the job so he can then be looking down the barrel of a main of a title contention, of taking a title in the next one up. But I've been saying this for a while now, but I feel like Gane is really marking a whole new era for the heavyweight division.
He is. I mean, he's yet to be tested. I think in time we will see him tested against a wrestler, and at the moment in this division, guys that can wrestle, you're looking at the Stipe Miocic's, John Jones when he eventually gets there.
But I guess in the same way that Tiger Woods, really sort of revolutionized golf, and when he came in, everyone else in golf had to up their standard in their game because he brought his cardio, he went to the gym, he worked out, and used all that into his game.
Yeah, you use a lot of cardio in golf.
Yeah. Well, no, he worked. He did use his. He did go to the gym though. Didn't he? He was working out. He was working on every different element to his game. Is a point, Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. Use those little buggies, didn't you? But yeah, and in the same way now, you got Gane, for example, who's doing the same, and he's really going to make everyone in this division have to step up and work on other elements they never even looked at before. Yeah. The way he's bouncing on his feet like a lightweight, the way he moves, the way he's able to mix grappling into his game. Although we haven't seen a massive amount of him on the ground. Just because he moves so well on his feet, he doesn't have to sort of deploy that. Yeah. Now, if he does go up against John Jones, we're going to see some takedowns, I think.
Absolutely.
I think
and
for sure.
Stipe potentially as well. So, some great options for him.
Yeah.
In the future. It's exciting. Let's move on then, I guess, to what's been happening on social media then.
Yeah, over to socials.
Cool. All right then, so what have you got for me then?
So yeah, look, we got Gilbert Burns coming out, and he said that he will never fight his brother Vicente Luque in the UFC. Now... this was quite an interesting story, given that Vicente Luque, after his fight against Chiesa, done a remarkable job submitting him on the ground, as we talked about just a moment ago. He is looking down the barrel of a title contention. Mm-hmm. He's got to be right up there. And who's above him? Who's he looking at? He's got Gilbert Burns for one. Of course, there's Colby up there as well, and Leon Edwards. But Gilbert came straight out quite early on and just said, "I'm not going to fight my brother. I'm sorry, but you got to find someone else." Does that help him, do you think?
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't help his situation, clearly. Right. Now, there is a solid relationship there, and you can see it. Both guys are in each other's corners throughout their fights. But, it's going to get a bit awkward at some point. Now, here's a scenario, though. So, what if Vicente Luque was to fight Usman and beats Usman? Then what's Gilbert going to do? Are you going to force to then fight your brother? Because
he wants that top shot. He wants a belt. He does. He does.
Right. So, how do you go about that? Now, Gilbert Burns has fought at lightweight before. So if Luque was to beat Usman, then is Burns going to make that drop back down to lightweight again? It's a bit tricky for someone like Burns.
Especially when he's in his prime right now.
Yeah, he cuts quite a bit of weight. Like I said, he has been there before. I think he's had 3 losses in the division. It was a bit of a difficult cut. He did lose against Dan Hooker, and I think it was his last loss again at lightweight. So realistically, it wouldn't be a good move for Gilbert Burns to go back down to lightweight. So you just got to ask yourself these questions. Obviously, Kamaru Usman is at the top at the moment. He's looking down at everyone. He's phenomenal. Everyone speaks highly of him. He's just not putting a foot wrong at the moment.
Yeah.
Gilbert Burns clearly wants that rematch as well. Now, he might just let Vicente Luque get there get that fight if
things might change.
But things might change. Yeah, and it's possible.
But
who knows?
I think maybe it could have helped him as well. So for Gilbert Burns making that statement, it does make the UFC brasses have a clear idea as to what his next matchup's going to be. So it's like, so they'll initially rule out Gilbert Burns, and now they're looking at fewer people for him to go up against. It's Leon Edwards, it's Colby, or it's Usman. Now, of course, with that, they've made it far easier for him to look at some really good fights for Luque. By taking himself out of the equation, it's now really refined it to 3 amazing fights next for Luque.
But then at the same time, the UFC in the past haven't been particularly too nice in terms of people fighting each other from the same sort of camp and things like that. You know, we can go way back to the whole Rashad Evans, John Jones story. We all know how that went.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, Rashad Evans was the lightweight champion at the time. He lost against Lyoto Machida. He was looking to make his way back into title contention, but then he got injured. And then John Jones stepped up, and John Jones was very new to Greg Jackson's camp, stepped up and won the belt. And that made things awkward in that respect, and those guys fell out. So who knows? There's things like that can happen. Am I going to see it with these two? I don't think so. I guess you could get the similar scenario if Kelvin Gastelum was to fight Marvin Vettori. Those two are from the same camp. Are they close, though? That's the question, you know? These two, on the other hand, they're pretty damn close.
Yeah.
So,
you know, the next 3 fights for Luque looking quite exciting. You got Edwards, you've got Colby, or you got Usman. And yeah, we'll see what comes out next. In fact, leading into the next thing we got here on the story, we've got Usman tweeting to Luque saying that they might be dancing soon.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, as we said, with Usman taking rematches as of recent, has stacked things up in this division. Yeah. So yeah, nonetheless, it's going to happen at some point. Yeah. Usman hasn't wiped out the division as of yet. Yeah, I think it's a fun fight. It's a difficult fight. I think, it's a difficult fight, obviously, for both guys. I like Luque's skill set going into this fight against Usman. But it depends on where his mindset's going to be on the night. You know, as I say, when these guys rack up impressive win streaks. Now, the saying always goes that it's hard to be champion, but it's even harder to stay champion. But at the same time, when you are the champion and you're racking up these title defenses, it gets harder and harder also for these new guys that are coming in. Yeah. Because you know, it's so much pressure is on your hands to be that first guy to stop this phenomenon who's, you know, clearly beating everyone and looking impressive doing it. And Usman is looking impressive when he's doing it. Finishing these guys. And
he's just getting better. He really is. And I think if that matchup does happen between Luque and Usman, it's really going to come down to not who's the best striker, who's better on the ground. It's going to come down to movement. Who's got the better movement in that fight. Cut better angles. Who can get out of the way of strikes and respond quick enough inside of range and get out of range in time to make them miss on those counters. And yeah, I think that's really where it's going to lie. And so far, looking at it from where I'm sitting, Usman moves amazing.
Yeah, he does. And
he's a dancer.
He's going to sit behind his jab. And for Luque, it's like, what do you do to get past that jab? You know? Luque is a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I would kind of almost favour Luque's abilities on the ground almost against Usman. I think Usman might be a black belt. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember now. But nonetheless, I think in terms of submission wins, Luque has more than Usman. Kamaru Usman only has 1 submission win on his resume. Yeah, I'd probably would favour Luque on the ground just about. He's sneaky with these submissions as we saw at the weekend. So. Yeah. But then at the same time, you've got Usman, who's a fantastic wrestler. He's got great strength and can potentially fight out of these positions. So stylistically, it's an intriguing fight. I would like to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting nonetheless. But next up, we've got comments there from Luque on how he deserves that title shot.
Right. So what does he say?
So he's saying, look, basically, I just know that I'm one of the most, if not the most exciting welterweight right now. I'm showing everybody what I can do. I finish every single fight. My fights are exciting. For that reason, I think I deserve a title fight. Words from Vicente Luque himself.
Yeah, it's a good case. I think it's a solid case. You know, ahead of Burns as well. Clearly, obviously, because that fight was Usman versus Burns was only in February.
He'll be skipping the queue effectively over Leon Edwards too, because we've all been waiting to see Leon Edwards against the champ.
Yeah, we have, and obviously Leon Edwards has had various injuries and things like that. Hasn't been racking up too many finishes either. So, yeah, I mean, the guy's right. There's no denying him.
Yeah. No, fair enough. But look, I would love to see it. It'll be pretty exciting nonetheless. Next up, we've got Francis Ngannou on basically commenting on Cyril Gane's win on the weekend on that card, UFC 265. So, of course, it was a great card, great event, and it was rounded up with a nice TKO from Cyril Gane in round 3 against Derek Lewis. But the current champ at the time, had piped up and said, impressive performance from Gane. He's now a legit contender. See you soon, boy. When you know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like we said, in everyone's eyes, that is the next fight to make, without a doubt. And yeah, for Gane, he needed to make a statement against Lewis, and he did exactly that. Now, Francis against Gane, I think it's a fun one. It's almost a similar kind of game plan for Gane. He needs to stay away from the power of Francis, but then at the same time, Francis moves a lot quicker than Derek Lewis.
Yes,
and is physically much more athletic than Derek Lewis.
Yes.
So those aspects alone cause problems for Gane. For Francis, it is a matter of closing the distance and landing on Gane.
And catching him.
Personally, I'd like to see Gane maybe look for those bursts of Francis and timing it with takedowns.
Yeah.
Because Stipe proved that the first time that he fought Francis.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
He didn't go against the fee on him. Yeah, he put takedowns in his game. So I'd love to see a bit more of that from Gane, absolutely. But then if you've got a question of, yes, Francis is more athletic than Lewis, but if you're looking now who's more athletic, Gane or Francis, you give it to Gane. Right, I would say Gane's far more athletic than
yes.
Francis. But also, Gane...
It depends how you measure, I guess.
Francis does have those uppercuts in his arsenal, the same ones that Lewis, that Gane landed on Lewis as well in that fight in the weekend.
He's the biggest power puncher in the heavyweight division. Measured power.
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah.
They haven't measured mine yet, so they don't really know for sure.
Cut.
But in any case, like it's going to be quite an exciting fight nonetheless. And I did say before in the watch long and also earlier in the week that I was really disappointed what the UFC done. I made this very clear when it first happened, when they put this interim title in, when Gane had only just won the belt. I thought it was just way too soon.
You mean Ngannou just won the belt? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Ngannou.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense at all.
I have grown
Francis
to like
is
it.
not that too far away from fighting, I would assume.
Yeah,
back into the next year.
I thought it was...
This year, even.
I thought they'd done him dirty, to be honest, when they sort of introduced this. Someone else stealing the limelight and they're now sharing this golden pedestal. But I have now come to like it, because what it does mean, of course, is yes, you've got champion v champion in the heavyweight division, and you don't see much of that, and it's just
marketing.
It just adds
great.
to it,
Yeah, adds to it. It's great for casuals.
Yeah.
For us hardcore fans, we all know the interim belt is stupid. It means nothing.
It doesn't really. I mean, this fight between Francis and Gane had to happen anyway. It was going to happen anyway.
Right. It was going to happen.
It just has a little bit more weight to it now.
Yeah. No, precisely. Yeah. Dead excited. My boy Gane getting the title fight, and to become champion with being 11-0 in the sport would be fantastic.
Oh man. Yeah. I know. I mean, that's got to be some amazing ratios for someone to do that at that sort of...
Yeah, such a short period of time.
Yeah.
I stepped in 2019.
Wow, and here you go.
To be champion by the end of the year.
That's got to be the fastest.
Wow, I don't know. I reckon it'll be starting next year.
He's going to have some records coming out even now, because he is technically a champion of a division. Interim. But
Yeah, I guess so.
So that concludes everything we've got done here now for the socials. And the whole idea now, of course, these socials is... everything that comes out over the weekend for UFC 265, the media, the tweets, and that sort of thing, this is just encompasses all of that. So a quick one-stop shop about all the worthwhile stories to be talking about. So hopefully we're giving you your update on all this stuff, but feel free to check out our Twitter channel as well for more news that we tend to retweet, repost as well. So that is all there too. All
right, so that's all we got time for then on our Aftermath show. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do stay tuned and click the notifications button on our YouTube channel because we'll be giving you some saucy content coming soon. We'll have a video out this weekend. Of course, we don't have an event this weekend.
No.
But we will be putting out something very soon. But do stay tuned and join us next weekend as we have another UFC fight night, which will be Jared Cannonier taking on Kelvin Gastelum. So, yeah, stick around for that. And then, yeah, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. We'll be excited to hear from you guys as well. Do follow us on Twitter at You Against the Fence, which the Twitter handle will be in the description. If you like the video, smash a like as well. And yeah, I'm JK.
I'm Si.
That's all we've got time for.
Take care. See you next time.